No one tells you how quietly a man waits, how he sits in the dim corners of his own life, hoping that something will shift on its own, hoping that the phone will ring, hoping that someone will notice his struggle, or his potential, or his pain, hoping that luck will knock on his door and pull him out of the life he's drifting through. But nothing happens. There is a moment, every man feels it at some point, when the silence grows heavy, when he realizes the cavalry isn't coming. There is no mentor on the way, no miracle, no sudden turn of fortune, just him, and the life he's built with every choice he has made so far. That realization is painful, but it is also the first breath of freedom, because the truth is simple: nobody is coming to save you. And the second truth is even harder. It has always been this way. Men are raised with the illusion of rescue. We're told that things will work out, that life has a plan, that everything will be okay. But those ideas soften the spine. They teach you to wait instead of act, to hope instead of move, to wish instead of build. Life does not reward the man who waits. Life rewards the man who decides. This is the illusion of rescue, the belief that someone else will solve the problem you refuse to face. It shows up in different ways. You hope the job gets easier. You hope she comes back. You hope motivation arrives one morning like a gift. You hope your bad habits dissolve on their own. You hope the world finally sees your worth. But hope without action is just spiritual laziness. A man who waits becomes a man who withers. His potential becomes dust in his hands. His dreams grow distant, not because they're impossible, but because he never reached for them with both hands. There comes a night or a morning when the illusion cracks. Maybe it happens after a heartbreak, maybe after a failure, maybe after another year of your life feels wasted, or maybe it comes quietly, in a moment of stillness, when you see yourself clearly for the first time in years. You look in the mirror and you understand, if I don't change, nothing will. If I don't move, nothing moves. If I don't take control, my life stays exactly as it is. And in that moment, something shifts inside a man. Not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. It is the beginning of becoming who you were meant to be. Because when you release the illusion of rescue, you make space for responsibility. And responsibility is the birthplace of strength. But let's not romanticize it. At first, the truth feels like a weight on your chest. It feels like standing alone in a storm without shelter. You feel the fear, the uncertainty, the pressure. Your mind tries to escape the reality that this is on you now. Your discipline, your habits, your direction, your destiny. But slowly, something else emerges. A quiet, steady resolve. A sense of control you might not have felt in years. A strange peace that comes from saying, enough. If nobody is coming, I must become the one who acts. Most men never reach this point. They choose to numb themselves. They choose distraction, entertainment, excuses, blame. They wait for life to save them until their final breath. And it never happens. But you are not here to be most men. You are here because something deep within you already knows the truth. You feel it. You've felt it for a long time. The world will not hand you dignity. It will not hand you strength. It will not hand you confidence, discipline, purpose, or respect. Those are things a man carves out of himself. You are not meant to be rescued. You are meant to rise. And rise not through loud ambition or emotional outbursts, but through the steady, disciplined acceptance that your life is your own to shape. No more waiting, no more hoping for an external savior. You are the one who must step forward. You are the one who must confront the chaos of your life. You are the one who must build the man you wish you already were. This is the end of the illusion, the end of the fantasy, the end of expecting the world to care more about your life than you do. This is where the real work begins, because when a man finally understands that nobody is coming to save him, he also discovers something far more powerful, Responsibility is a heavy word. Most men avoid it not because they're incapable of carrying weight, but because they're terrified of what it reveals. Responsibility exposes who you truly are. It strips away excuses. It removes the safety nets. It forces you to stand alone with your choices, every one of them. But responsibility is also the doorway to becoming a man of substance. A boy waits for someone to fix things. A man understands that his life bends only to the strength of his own hands. And the moment you accept responsibility, fully, without negotiation, you feel something shift inside you. It's as if the world suddenly becomes clearer, sharper, less chaotic. Because when everything becomes your burden, everything also becomes your opportunity. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop blaming your childhood. You stop blaming the economy, your boss, your ex, your past failures, your lack of motivation. You realize that blame is a narcotic. It numbs your pain, but poisons your potential. Responsibility is the antidote. It's the moment you say, "This is my life, my mess, my victories, my losses, my direction, my burden." At first, this realization feels like a crushing weight, a silent pressure that sits on your shoulders from the moment you wake until the moment you fall asleep. But slowly, you begin to understand what the Stoics meant when they said that responsibility is freedom. Because once you stop waiting for life to change, you can finally begin the work of changing it yourself. That is the turning point of a man's life. Not when he becomes strong, but when he stops pretending he isn't weak. Not when he is rescued, but when he accepts that saving himself is the only path forward. You begin to see your life as a field that needs to be cultivated. It will not grow on its own. It will not bloom out of hope or prayers or wishful thinking. It will bloom because you show up every day with a rake and shovel, turning the soil of your habits, planting the seeds of your discipline, removing the weeds of your excuses. Responsibility births this clarity, but it also demands honesty, brutal honesty. You must confront where you've been avoiding effort, where you've been hiding from discomfort, where you've been choosing ease over growth, where you've been sabotaging the man you could be because the boy inside you still runs the show. It's a difficult inventory to take. You might realize that you're not as disciplined as you pretend to be, not as resilient as you hope to be, not as mature as you believed yourself to be. And that's okay, because responsibility doesn't expect perfection. It expects ownership. The weak man clings to illusions. The strong man faces truths. When you take responsibility, you reclaim control. You stop drifting. You stop running. You stop waiting. You begin to act with intention, not instinct. With direction, not impulse. You start to see that every choice is a vote for the man you are becoming. Every morning you get up on time. Every workout you complete. Every hour you focus. Every temptation you resist. Every conversation where you choose integrity over comfort. These moments transform you, not because they are loud or dramatic, but because they are consistent. Responsibility thrives in consistency. It grows in those quiet decisions nobody sees, those small sacrifices nobody applauds, those personal standards you rise to, even when nobody would punish you for falling short. This is the weight of responsibility, not the heaviness of obligation, but the dignity of choosing to become someone reliable. Reliable to others, yes. But first, reliable to yourself. The man who cannot trust his own word cannot trust his own life. He doubts himself. He hesitates. He moves without conviction. He lives like a guest inside his own existence, never fully taking the reins. Responsibility changes that. It strengthens your spine. It sharpens your judgment. It gives direction to your chaos. It becomes the organizing principle that aligns your behavior with your potential. There will be days when responsibility feels unfair, when the weight feels heavier than what others carry. When you look around and see men choosing the easy path, sleeping in, wasting time, avoiding growth, and a part of you wonders why you must carry more. But that is the price of being awake in a world full of sleepers. The price of wanting a life that means more than comfort. The price of wanting to become a man others can rely on. A man who stands firm when the world trembles. You carry more because you can become more. And the truth is, responsibility isn't punishment. It's proof of your capacity. It's the universe saying, I will give you only the weight you can grow from, but you are learning to stand upright beneath it. You are learning to breathe through the pressure. You are learning that the burden transforms you. You are learning that responsibility is not the end of your freedom. It is the beginning of your power. Because when a man takes full responsibility for his life, something remarkable happens. Not because life gets easier, but because he no longer expects ease. Not because he avoids pain, but because he knows pain is part of the path. Not because he becomes perfect, but because he becomes dependable. A dependable man is dangerous, not to others, but to adversity itself. He cannot be manipulated by excuses. He cannot be weakened by temptation. He cannot be defeated by circumstance. He knows that everything begins and ends with him. And so he walks forward, not with arrogance, but with calm, grounded confidence, carrying the weight that once terrified him, and slowly discovering that it was never meant to crush him. It whispers when he is tired. It grows louder when he is alone. It shows up in the moments between intention and action, those few seconds when he knows what he should do, but feels an invisible gravity pulling him toward comfort, distraction, and weakness. This inner weakness is not a flaw, it is a shadow. Jung would say it is the part of you you refuse to confront, the part you deny, bury, hide, the part you pretend isn't there because acknowledging it would force you to change. But a man cannot become strong until he stops lying to himself. You can fake confidence in public. You can posture online. You can tell yourself you're doing okay. But deep down, you know exactly where your weak points are. You know the habits that are slowly eroding your potential. You know the laziness disguised as rest. You know the fear hidden beneath the mask of, I'm fine. You know the excuses you've polished until they shine like truths. Facing your inner weakness is not about shame, it's about liberation. Weakness thrives in the dark. It multiplies when ignored. It becomes a quiet parasite feeding on your dreams, draining your ambition, sabotaging your confidence from the inside. But the moment you shine a light on it, it retreats. Not instantly, not completely, but enough for you to see what you must fight. For most men, the first weakness is avoidance. Avoiding discomfort, avoiding responsibility, avoiding the hard conversations, the difficult work, the disciplined choices. Avoidance is the modern plague. It has destroyed more potential than failure ever will. A man avoids the gym because he fears judgment. He avoids pursuing his goals because he fears inadequacy. He avoids truth because he fears what it would demand of him. Avoidance makes a man small. The second weakness is entitlement, the quiet belief that life owes you something, that success should come easier, that discipline should feel natural, that you should be rewarded simply for wanting a better life. But life responds to effort, not expectation, to discipline, not desire, to persistence, not promises. The third weakness is the ego. Fragile, defensive, easily bruised. The ego is the loudest liar inside you. It tells you that you are already doing enough, that you are not like other men, that you are working hard even when you know you are not. The ego protects your feelings at the cost of your future. To face your weakness, you must learn to observe yourself without flinching, without justification, without emotional cushioning. Ask yourself, where am I lying to myself? Where am I acting small? Where am I letting comfort dictate my life? Where am I choosing distraction over discipline? These questions hurt, but they are the beginning of self-mastery. Because a man who confronts his weakness becomes dangerous, not to others, but to the version of himself that once held him back. But be careful. Facing your weaknesses does not mean drowning in them. It does not mean spiraling into self-hate. or obsessing over your flaws. The goal is not to shame yourself. It is to understand yourself. Weakness is not the enemy. Unacknowledged weakness is. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in your way becomes the way. In other words, the part of you that resists the journey is the journey. Your laziness is not a curse. It is a signal that you need structure. Your fear is not a prison. It is proof you are standing at the edge of growth. Your self-doubt is not failure. It is the birthplace of courage. Courage does not appear when you feel strong. It appears when you feel weak and act anyway. Facing inner weakness also means acknowledging your patterns. Every man has cycles, loops of behavior that repeat like a script he didn't choose. You promise yourself you'll change, and you do, for a few days. Then the old habits return, the old mindset, the old comfort-seeking instincts. Breaking these patterns requires more than motivation. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. You cannot hope your way out of weakness. You must build your way out. Start with small acts of defiance against the old version of yourself. Waking up on time, training when you don't feel like it, working without distraction, choosing honesty over avoidance, doing the difficult task before the easy one. These choices seem insignificant, but they are not. Each one is a vote for the man you want to become, and slowly, your inner weakness begins to shrink. Not because it disappears, but because you stop feeding it. The greatest transformation happens when you understand this truth. No man is without laziness or insecurity or desire for comfort, but disciplined men confront these forces head-on. Undisciplined men let them run the show. Your inner weakness will always demand the easy path. It will always whisper that you've done enough. It will always tempt you with comfort, distraction, and excuses. But there is another voice inside you, quieter, steadier, older, the voice of the man you could become. He does not shout, he does not beg, he simply waits for you to choose him. To face your weakness is to begin that choosing, to say, I see the man holding me back, and I will not let him run my life any longer. This is the turning point. The moment discomfort becomes fuel. The moment fear becomes instruction. The moment weakness becomes the doorway to a stronger, steadier, more grounded version of you. A man who faces his weakness does not become perfect. He becomes powerful. Discipline is a quiet word, not dramatic, not glamorous, not the kind of thing people celebrate or post about. But for a man who has realized that nobody is coming to save him, discipline becomes something sacred, the closest thing to salvation he will ever know. Because discipline is the only force strong enough to take a man from who he are to who he must become. And the truth is simple. You don't rise because you feel ready. You rise because discipline pulls you upward even when everything inside you wants to sink. Most men think discipline is about punishment. Hard rules, strict routines, grinding through pain. But real discipline is deeper. It is an act of loyalty to your future self. It is choosing the man you want to be over the impulses of the man you are right now. There is a version of you who wakes up with clarity, who trains even when tired, who works with consistency, not emotion, who says no to temptation, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary, who holds standards high even in private when nobody is watching. That man exists, but he is created only through repetition, ritual, structure, discipline. Discipline shapes you the way a sculptor shapes stone, not with one strike, but with thousands. Each day becomes a chisel, each choice becomes a cut, each sacrifice becomes a contour, and slowly, the man inside the stone begins to appear. But at first, discipline feels like friction. Your mind resists, your body complains, your old habits pull you backward, your weakness tries to regain control. This is why most men quit. Not because they're incapable, but because they mistake discomfort for failure. They expect discipline to feel good, or empowering, or inspiring. But discipline often feels like drowning, until one day, it feels like breathing. Stoicism teaches this well. Do what is essential, and do it as if nothing else mattered. And that is rare in a world built to distract you. A world designed to weaken your willpower. A world filled with endless pleasure, comfort, and escape. Discipline is rebellion against that world. It is choosing the harder path because you know it leads somewhere real. It is refusing to live as a slave to your own impulses. It is the only path that leads to freedom. But here's the paradox. You cannot wait for discipline to appear. Discipline does not knock on your door. It does not arrive with motivation. It does not grow from inspiration. Discipline is born only from action. You move first. Your mind follows. You show up to the gym. You sit down to work. You turn off the distractions. You do the difficult thing. You push through the resistance. And then, slowly, discipline begins to form around your actions, like muscle around bone. Consistency is its oxygen. Ritual is its foundation. Repetition is its bloodstream. 1 day of discipline means nothing. 10 days changes your momentum. 100 days changes your identity. 1,000 days builds a man who cannot be shaken. But understand this. Discipline isn't built in grand gestures. It is built in tiny decisions, the quiet, unseen choices that seem insignificant in the moment. Getting up when the alarm rings, finishing the set when your body wants to quit, staying focused when your mind wants distraction, keeping promises to yourself, even when nobody would know if you broke them. These are the bricks of discipline. This is the architecture of becoming a man who can trust himself. And that trust is everything. A man with discipline becomes dependable. A man without it becomes unpredictable, even to himself. Discipline also rewires your relationship with pain. Most men avoid discomfort because they believe it harms them. But disciplined men know discomfort is the doorway to transformation. Pain becomes signal. Resistance becomes guidance. Struggle becomes proof that you are on the right path. The gym is not about muscles. It is about training your mind to do what is hard. Work is not about money. It is about mastering the art of showing up. Habits are not about routine. They are about engineering the man you become. Discipline builds a man who cannot be dependent on mood, who does what must be done regardless of feeling, who treats his future self with respect. And that is the deepest form of masculinity. Not aggression, not bravado, not toughness, but consistency. Consistency is masculine. Commitment is masculine. Discipline is masculine. Because they require sacrifice. And sacrifice is the currency of growth. There will be days when you fall off the path, when old habits crawl back, when weakness resurfaces, when your mind tells you it's pointless, when fatigue wraps itself around your body like a chain. On those days, understand this. He does what aligns with the man he is becoming, not the man he used to be. And through this steadiness, this quiet, daily, almost unseen commitment, he becomes someone he can count on. A man who trusts himself, stands differently, thinks differently, acts differently. He walks into the world with a quiet force, a grounded presence, a steady, unshakable calm. Because he knows something that most men never learn. If nobody is coming to save you, then discipline becomes the hands you save yourself with. And those hands will build everything. There comes a moment in a man's journey when he stops looking outward for answers and begins to understand a deeper truth. You are not meant to be rescued. You are meant to become the answer. Everything you've endured, every setback, every heartbreak, every failure, every lonely night where you questioned your own worth was not punishment. It was preparation, pressure carving shape, solitude building depth, pain sharpening clarity. A man does not grow in comfort. He grows in confrontation. He grows in silence. He grows in the long, unglamorous hours where nobody is watching, nobody is applauding, nobody is validating his effort. This is the forge, and every man must enter it alone. The world tells you to avoid suffering, to numb yourself, to escape discomfort. But there is an ancient masculine truth that modern culture tries to bury. Pain is a teacher. Solitude is a mirror. Pressure is a sculptor. If you run from them, you run from the man you could become. When a man begins to build himself from the inside out, he starts noticing the difference between distractions and direction. He becomes protective of his time, selective with his energy, careful with his mind. He begins to understand that everything he consumes, food, media, thoughts, people, either strengthens his foundation or erodes it. This is when he sheds the version of himself that sought validation, the version that needed approval, the version that feared judgment, the version that waited for permission. Growth requires a death, the death of who you were, and it is not a gentle death. It is a burning away of illusions, a dismantling of comfort, a confrontation with the truth you avoided for years. But from the ashes of that old self emerges something steadier, calmer, sharper. A man less concerned with being liked and more concerned with being aligned. A man who moves with purpose instead of impulse. A man who no longer chases meaning. He creates it. This transformation is subtle at first. You begin keeping promises you once broke. You begin doing what you said you would do. You begin holding yourself to standards nobody else knows about. The world doesn't notice it immediately, but you do. You catch yourself choosing discipline over distraction, order over chaos, courage over comfort. And with every choice, you lay another brick in the architecture of a man you can rely on. That reliability is rare, not outwardly. Many men pretend to be reliable, but inwardly. Reliability when nobody is watching. Reliability when there's no reward. Reliability when it's hard. This is the foundation of becoming a man others can trust. But more importantly, a man you can trust. A strange thing happens when you reach this stage. You stop fearing challenges. You begin to welcome them. Not because you enjoy difficulty, but because you understand what difficulty does for you. Challenges refine you. They expose your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. They reveal your gaps so you can close them. They show you the distance between who you are and who you're capable of being. You realize something powerful. Life isn't happening to you. Life is happening for you, to sharpen you, to harden you, to prepare you for a destiny only you can fulfill. This is where many men quit, because the pressure feels personal. But pressure is not personal. It is purposeful. There is a reason diamonds do not form in soft environments. There is a reason warriors are not made in comfort. There is a reason strong men have scars. Every trial you've faced has crafted something in you, something irreplaceable. Endurance, resilience, depth, wisdom. But you only gain that wisdom when you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to build in me? Not by avoiding struggle, but by integrating it. Not by rejecting pain, but by alchemizing it. Not by blaming the world, but by learning from it. You stop asking for the right circumstances. You start shaping yourself into the right man. A man who can handle weight. A man who can carry responsibility. A man who can walk into uncertainty with steady breath and clear eyes. A man who becomes the anchor in a world full of drift. When you build yourself into this kind of man, something remarkable happens. You stop seeking rescue, and others begin to see you as the one they can rely on, not because you saved them, but because you saved yourself. Your presence becomes grounding. Your discipline becomes inspiring. Your stability becomes reassuring. Your calm becomes contagious. You become the kind of man who doesn't need to announce his strength. It is felt in his silence. It is seen in his consistency. It is lived in his actions. And this is the truth many never discover, not through comfort, but through courage. Pain was never meant to break you. Solitude was never meant to isolate you. Pressure was never meant to crush you. They were meant to forge you into a man who no longer waits for rescue, a man who no longer negotiates with weakness, a man who no longer hides from the mirror, a man who knows, deep in his bones, that everything he needs is already inside him, waiting to be strengthened, shaped, and awakened. To build yourself into the answer is to accept your destiny, truly understand it. Most men never walk it because it demands too much honesty, too much sacrifice, too much distance from the comfort they built their identity around. Purpose is expensive. It costs you your illusions. It costs you your old habits. It costs you the relationships that depended on your weakness. It costs you the version of yourself who needed saving. But what it gives you is clarity. When a man begins walking this road, he feels the solitude immediately. Not just physical solitude, but psychological solitude. The awareness that his journey is his alone. Nobody can walk for him. Nobody can lift for him. Nobody can build his discipline, bear his consequences, or carry his destiny. This realization used to terrify you. But now, strangely, it begins to calm you, because you finally understand. This is what adulthood was always meant to feel like. Not despair, not chaos, but grounded responsibility, self-governance, direction. On this road, you stop asking for shortcuts. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop looking for the right moment, the right opportunity, the right feeling. You simply walk, step by step, day by day, with patience, with endurance, with standards that rise quietly inside you like a tide. Purpose doesn't shout. Purpose whispers. It whispers through the discomfort you stop avoiding, through the habits you start mastering, through the small, steady victories nobody sees, through the man you become when you refuse to quit. As you walk, something shifts in your posture. Your shoulders straighten, your breath deepens, your vision sharpens. You stop moving like a man unsure of himself and start moving like a man who knows where he's going, even if the world has no idea. This shift comes from one thing: trusting yourself. The more you walk alone, the more you realize you don't actually need saving. You need direction. You need consistency. You need courage. And those things are not given, they are grown. Comfortable men never learn this. Men who cling to validation never learn this. Men who fear solitude never learn this. They stay trapped in cycles of distraction and dependence, waiting endlessly for the world to give them a sign or a savior. But the man on the lonely road discovers something far greater than rescue. He discovers responsibility as a source of strength. He discovers discipline as a form of freedom. He discovers solitude as a forge for clarity. He discovers that masculinity is not loud, not aggressive, not chaotic. It is calm, focused, intentional, able to stand alone without collapsing inward. And the irony is profound. When you no longer need anyone to save you, you become the type of man others instinctively look toward. Not because you're trying to lead, but because you've learned to lead yourself. Purpose gives a man gravity. Direction gives him presence. Discipline gives him weight. Weak men dissolve under pressure. Grounded men become anchors. And that is what the world is lacking today: anchors. Men who choose courage over comfort. Men who choose responsibility over victimhood. Men who choose growth over excuses. Men who walk their path even when others mock them or misunderstand them. The lonely road is not punishment. It is purification, a stripping away of everything false, a clarifying of everything real, a returning to the man you were meant to be before the world softened your edges and filled you with noise. As you walk, you begin to notice the subtle victories. The thoughts that used to control you no longer do. The impulses that used to derail you lose strength. The fears that once guided you now reveal themselves as illusions. You become a man of agency, a man of direction, a man of inner authority. And men of inner authority do not crumble. They do not drift. They do not seek rescue. They build a life worth living, slowly and deliberately, with patience few understand. This is the truth. Nobody is coming to save you. And that is the greatest gift life could ever give you. Because if salvation depended on someone else, you would always remain a child. You would always remain unformed, unfinished, dependent. But when salvation becomes your responsibility, you grow, you harden, you strengthen, you mature, you rise. Purpose does not appear in a moment. It emerges through movement. Through walking the road, no one can walk for you. And though the road may be lonely, the man you become on that road is not. He carries his own company, his own grounding, his own direction, his own strength, his own purpose. A man like that is never truly alone. Slow down now. Let the noise settle. Let the breath fall deeper into your chest. Because everything you've heard, all the weight, all the truth, all the responsibility was never meant to overwhelm you. It was meant to awaken you. You are not broken for feeling lost. You are not weak for feeling tired. You are not behind. You are simply standing at the threshold of your own becoming. And becoming takes time. Becoming takes patience. Becoming takes a long, quiet courage that grows slowly, like a flame shielded from the wind. But that flame is there, inside you, burning with a steady warmth that asks for only one thing, that you don't abandon yourself. Not again. Not this time. No more waiting for the world to hand you direction. No more hoping someone will come fix what you've been avoiding. No more placing your future in the hands of chance, luck, or other people. You have everything you need to begin. Not because you are enough in some empty motivational way, but because you are capable of becoming enough through effort, discipline, and time. So walk forward, slowly, intentionally, bravely. Build the man you can trust. Shape the life you can respect. Stand up when you fall. Continue when it's hard. Choose the path that demands more of you, because that is the path that will give more to you. In the end, purpose belongs to the man who refuses to abandon the pursuit of himself. And if you remember only one line from this entire journey, remember this: